Good evening, friends. Let us continue with our session. Let us try to solve few more problems in simple and compound interest. Right. The difference between simple compound interest, compounded annually, and simple interest on a certain sum of money at 10% per annum for 3 years is 620. This is also an easy problem. The difference is given between compound interest and simple interest. What is compound interest? P into 1 plus R by n, R by 100 whole power n minus P. Here, what is it? P, we are not given P. We have to calculate P. 1 plus 10%. 10% as the interest rate. 10 by 100 whole cube minus P minus simple interest. P into 3 years. T is T, 3 and R is 10. By 100 is equal to 620. P into 1.1 whole cube minus P minus 3P by 10 is equal to 620. 1.1 cube is 1.331, right? 11 cube is 1331. 1.331 P minus 3P by 10 equal to 620. That means 3 point, if we simplify this, 13.31 minus 10 or 3.31 P minus 3P by 10 is equal to 620. 0.31 P equal to 6200. P equals to 20,000. Right. 62,000. So the principal is 20,000. Right. So 20,000 when invested in simple interest and compound interest at 10% for 3 years, it will give 620 rupees more higher in compound interest. This is an easy problem only. Let's try to solve one more problem. Nikhilesh invested certain amount in 3 schemes, A, B, and C at the rate of simple interest 10, 12, and 15 respectively. Total interest is 3,200. Amount invested in scheme C plus 150% of the amount invested in scheme B and 240% of the amount invested in scheme B. Okay. So here in this problem, we need to understand the ratios and proportions also, and then we can apply simple interest formula. Right. What is given? Amount invested in scheme C was 150% of the amount invested in scheme A. That means C by A equal to 1.5 is equal to 3 by 2. Similarly, 240% C once and 240% of the amount invested in scheme B. That means C by B is equal to 2.4. Right? 240%. That means 2.4. What does that mean? A by B. Dividing this by this, we'll get A by B is equal to 8 by 5. Right? C by A we know. C by B also we know. That means A by B also we know. A by B, this by this will give 2.4 by 1.5 is equal to 8 by 5. So what is A is to B is to C? Then to calculate A is to B is to C, we know A by C, B by C and A by B separately. Right? How do we calculate A is to B is to C? A is to B is to C, we have to keep one of these constant and express the remaining two in terms of that one. So here let's take B as constant. Okay? A is to B as constant. What is A? A by B is equal to 8 by 5. That means A equal to 8 by 5 into B. So 8 by 5 into B is to what is C in terms of B? C by B equal to 12 by 5. That means B equal to 5C by, or sorry, then C equal to 12B by 5. Right? C is also expressed in terms of B. B is directly B. A is also expressed in terms of B. Similarly, C is also expressed in terms of B. We have to express it to calculate the common ratio A is to B is to equal to C. That means A is to B is to C is equal to 8 by 5 is to 1 is to 12 by 5. Right? 5 is the common LCM here. 8 is to 5 is to 12. Okay? 8 is to 5 is to 12. And this is the ratio in which A and B and C are there. Okay? Now what is it saying? For A it is 10%, for B it is 12%, for C it is 15% interest rate. Okay? 8 into, and we don't know what is given. The total interest is 1 year. 1 year. Okay, very good. And this is in 1 year. A, B, and C are in the ratio 8 is to 5 is to 12. But we don't know what exactly. Is it 80 is to 50 is to 120, 800 is to 500 is to 1200? We don't know. So we'll assume 8x. Whatever is that factor, we'll assume A's investment is 8x, B is 5x, C is 12x. Okay, 8x into 1 year. Time is always 1 year into 10% by 100. 5x into 12% by 100 because time is anyway 1 year. Similarly, 12x into 15% by 100. 15% is the interest rate, 15 by 100 because time is also 1 year. So this is equal to 3200. That means x by 100 into 8 times 80 plus 5 12 60 plus 12 15 so 180 equal to 3200. That means x equal to 32 into 100 by 320, x equal to 1000. What that means? A is equal to 8x 8000, B is equal to 5x 5000, C equal to 12,000. The only trick here is when given AC ratios of C and A and C and B, then we should be able to write A and B also. At the same time, we should be able to calculate A is to B is to C. Okay, in this format. We'll take this up when in more detail how to calculate these ratios and proportions when we take up ratios and proportion class. For now, you remember like this. A, B, and C, we have to express in a common in one of these so that it becomes easy for us. Okay, A is to C is given, B is to C is given, then A is to C or A is to B is to C, we should be able to calculate. Okay, then we assumed total amount as X because we know the ratio. We don't know what is the total amount. So total amount could be 80, 50, 130 or 800, 500, 1200 or 8,000, 5,000, 12,000. We don't know. Or into 2 into 2 16 is to 10 is to 24 is also 8 is to 5 is to 12. We don't know, right? So we have to assume some x to calculate that x, and then the sum of all of this is 3200. We simplified this, x we found 1000, so 8000 5000 12,000. This is how we found the answer. This is an easy problem only. Now the compound interest on a certain sum of money for the fourth year at 8% is 486. What was the compound for the third year on the same sum at the same rate? So this is little tricky problem. We are given only 8% for fourth year. Right? We are not given what is the percent. Oh, sorry, what is the interest rate? Interest rate is given. We are not given what is the principal. Still, we should be able to calculate. Principal is not given. Only what is given is fourth year 8% is given. Okay. Okay. But still it works. For compound interest, that is a beauty. What is given? P into 1 plus R by 100 or 4. There was a slight change in the wording of the problem. It was not interest, it was the amount. A certain loan amount at 8% per annum compound interest has become 486. We don't know what was the principal, but the amount has become 486 in 4 years. If the loan was for 3 years, what would have been the amount? Okay. So but we don't know what is the principal. Still, we should be able to calculate what would it have been, right? So, still we don't need to worry. Principal is not needed. Why? Like this. P into 1 plus R by 100 whole power n. R is 8%. 8 by 100 whole power 4 is equal to 486. What does that mean? P equals 486 by 1.08 whole power 4. Now what is asking? Loan was for 3 years. Then P into 1 plus R by 100 whole power 3 is equal to how much? That is the question. P we know. We'll just substitute this P here. 486 by 1.08 whole power 4 into R. This one 1 plus 8 by 100 is 1.08 whole power 3. So this gets cancelled. 486 by 1.08 is 450. So in 3 years, the loan would have become 450. In 4 years, it has become 486. Okay. So this is also an easy problem. We should not get worried because P is not given. It is not needed also because the amount is given. Amount is given, rate is given, time is also given. So we can calculate P. The difference between simple and compound interest compounded every 6 months at the rate of 10% per annum at the end of 2 years is 124.0. What is the sum? Difference between simple and compound interest compounded every 6 months. So far, we have not discussed this compounded every 6 months. What is compounded every 6 months? Earlier, we had discussed compounded every year. Compounded every 6 months means at the end of every 6 months, they will add whatever is the interest that has come up, they will add to the principal. Okay. So, for example, let's take this example. Compounded annually, the original example. Compounded annually interest. Compounded annually, compounded every 6 months. These two are the examples, let's say. Earlier we had discussed this, right? Compounded annually. What does that mean? We start with 100, interest rate is 10%. Right? Interest rate is 10%. Then what will happen? 1 year, 10% of 100, which is 10 rupees. That is this plus this. Right? That is 10 rupees. This 10 rupees get added, and at the end of 1 year, it becomes 110 rupees. It becomes 110 rupees. Right? It becomes at the end of 1 year, it becomes 110 rupees. Now, in this 110 rupees, again at the end of second year, in the second year, what will get added? 10% of this 110. That becomes 11 rupees. 110 plus 11, this 121. Right? This 121 will get added at the second. This 11 rupees get added, and it will become 121 at the end of second year. Now, at the end of third year, what will happen? 10% of this 121, 12.1. 12.1 will get added on this 121. It becomes 133.1. This is the regular compound interest which is compounded annually. Right? Compounded annually, what does it mean? Whatever is the interest rate, it gets added every 1 year with the same interest rate. So I had just split it in. If it has to the same calculation, if it has to be done half yearly, what would it have been? So first 6 months it would have been 4.88, second 6 months 5.12. So total put together it will be 10 rupees. Similarly 5.37, 5.63, total put together it would be 11 rupees. Okay. Similarly 5.91, 6.19, total put together it is 12.1 rupees. Right. So it should be 10%. 10%. Whereas this is compounded annually. Compounded annually means every 1 year you will add whatever interest is that has accrued, and then next year you will add 10% on that whatever the resultant amount was. Okay, every year you will keep adding the 10%. So first year 10 to 100 to 110 is 10%. 110 to 121 is again 10%. 10% growth. That is 1.1 into 110 is equal to 121. Similarly, 1.1 into 121 is 133.1. Right. 1.1 is the factor with which it grows every year. Okay. This is compounded annual example. Now, in case of the same 10% compounded every 6 months, what they will do, the 10% for the year means 5% every 6 months. They will keep adding 5% worth every 6 months. So, for example, 1.05, 5% means 100 into 1.05. They'll add it here after 6 months. And then 105 into 1.05, it becomes 110.25. 110.25 into 1 into 1.05, that becomes 115.76. So likewise, so 3 years, every six months they'll keep adding interest. What will happen because of this? The interest that you have to pay will become higher than what it was compounded annually. Though it was 10%, same 10%, 10% per year. This becomes 5% per 6 months. 10% per year has become 5% per 6 months, but still because you are adding the interest every 6 months, the total amount that you have to pay will be higher than what you are adding if you are adding every 1 year. Okay. So to look at the formula, if you have to look at the formula, how does it work? Here, look at the formula carefully. The same R. Okay. Same R. Let's look at this 1 year. Okay. Compound interest if it is compounded annually. P into 1 plus R by 100 whole power n. This we had discussed. In this case, what will happen? P into 1 plus R by 2, which is, let's say it was 10 by 2, 5% into 2 times. Okay. it is equivalent to 2 times, right? In 2 time periods. It is the interest is calculated in two time periods, right? 5% it is added 5% here into 1.05 and then again added on 5% 1.05 into this. Okay. So 1.05 into 1.05 into, so the difference is actually 1.05 into 1.05 into P versus, please note the difference. Let me write it down. This is 1.1 into 100 for 1 year, compound annually. This is 1.05 into 1.05 into 100, right? 1.1 into 100 is this one. 1.05 into 1.05 into 100 is 110.25. So the way of calculation. This is the way of calculation. So in this case, in the compounded annually, we would have to pay 110 rupees. But in this case, we have to pay 110.25 rupees. Why? Because we are compounding it every 6 months. Every 6 months, in a year, how many 6 months are there? There are two 6 months. That is two. That is this two. In a year, there are two 6 months, two periods, right? And R by two. So in a year, the the total amount actually, compound interest, these are all amounts. Compound interest amount, these are all amounts. Compound interest amounts, these are all amounts. Just please kindly note this. Compound, these are all amounts. Compound interest amount. Okay. Compound interest amount in a year, if it was compounded annually, it is simple 1.1 into 100, which is 110 rupees. But in this case, we do 1.05 into 1.05 because there are two 6 months time periods. 1.05 into 1.05, which is equal to 110.25. Now, even more, this is compounded every 6 months. Compounded every 6 months will give, definitely is giving more interest rate. The loan has become slightly higher, 110 versus 110.05. Now, let's say compounded, let's say if it has to be compounded every 4 months or every 3 months, every 3 months, that means yearly four times, right? Because there are four 3 months periods, right? Yearly four times. 3 months, 6 months means there are two 6 month periods. 3 months means there are four 3 month periods. What does that mean? Then your interest rate would become, or your amount will become 1 plus, if it is 10, if it is 10 for 10, if it is 10% for a year, for every 3 months, what it will become? 10 for 12 months, 10 by 4 for 3 months, right? Your R becomes 10 by 4, which is 2.5, right? Which is your 2.5 by 100. Okay. This becomes your 2.5 by 100. That becomes 1 plus R by 100 will become 1.025. 1.025. Now your total amount will become 1.025 to power 4 into 100. What is 1.025 power 4 into 100? This becomes, this is equal to 110.38. See, this is 110.38 is higher than this, which is higher than this. 110 versus 110 versus 110.25 versus 110.38. This is compounded quarterly. This is compounded half yearly. This is compounded annually. Understood, right? Compounded quarterly. What does that mean? Every every third month, whatever is the interest accrued, that you will add, and then you calculate interest over that. Okay. So in compounded half yearly, that means every 6 months you keep adding. So after 6 months you keep adding. After 6 months again you keep adding the interest of 5% on this amount. Interest of 5% on this amount. So if you say compounded quarterly, then that means compounded it's actually worse than compounded uh, every 6 months. If you are taking the loan, that means you have to pay more. If it is compounded every 1 year, then that is better, right? If it is compounded every 10 years, let's say, then that means for the first 10 years it is like simple interest only. There is no difference. Right. At the 10 years, if it is compounded once after 10 years, that means it is equal to simple interest for 10 years. If it is compounded 1 year, that means it is simple interest till first 1 year. If it is compounded 6 months, that means it is equivalent to for 6 months, simple interest and compound interest will be same. Right. Here, what you have to do, how many time periods are there? If it is compounded annually means in a year, there are only one 12 month time period. If it is compounded quarterly means there are 4 quarters in the year. Right. And R by 4 we do 10 by 4, which is equal to 2.5%, which is 1 plus 2.5 by 100, 1.025 whole power 4. Okay. That is what it is about. Compounded every 6 months means how many time periods. So, for example, for 3 years, how many 6 month time periods are there? Six. Right. So, what is the total amount? P into 1 plus each time period. For what is the interest rate? R by 2 into 6 time periods. Right here in this case, 3 years, there are three time periods only because compounded annually. Three 12-month time periods. Here there are six 6 month time periods. Right. For each 6 months, the interest rate is 6 R by 2. For each 12 months, the interest rate is R. Right. If it was compounded quarterly, then this becomes C P into 1 plus R by 4 by 100 whole power 12. Because in 3 years, there are 12 3 month periods, right? Every year there are four quarters. In 3 years, there will be 12 quarters. It is likewise. Okay, this is the difference between compounded annually and compounded every 6 months. Now, what is he saying? The difference between simple and compounded every 6 months at the rate of 10% per annum at the end of 2 years is this. Okay, now compounded annually, compounded every 6 months. What does it mean? P into 1 plus R by 2 by 100 whole power 4 minus P. This part is the compound interest. Minus PTR by 100 equal to 124.05. 1 plus 5 by 100 whole power 4 minus P. Minus P time period is 2 years. Okay, here it is 2. Here it will become 4 because there are 4 6-month time periods in this. Okay. 1 plus 5 by 100 is 21 by 20 whole power 4 minus P minus 0.2P equal to 124.05. This one 21 power 4 by 20 power 4 minus 1.2 equal to 124.05. We just simplified this. 21 power 4 is 194481 minus 1.2 into 160. 1,60,000 is 1,92,000. Right. Then principal becomes 1,60,000 into 124.05 by this part 1,94 481 minus 1,92,000 is equal to 2481. Right. So the principal becomes 1600 into 5, which is 8,000. Right. This part is 2481. This into this by 2481. This into this by 2481. This goes 5 times. This goes 5 times here. Removing the two zeros here. 2481 into 5. So total is 8,000. You understood the difference between compounded annually and compounded quarterly and compounded every 6 months, right? What we just need to take care is how many time periods are there in a year. Those many times we have to adjust for the interest rate. Interest rate, if there are two 6 months time periods, interest rate will become 6 r by 2. For 3 years, how many such time periods are there? How many such 6 month time periods are there? There are six. So that's why power 6. Similarly, for 2 years, interest rate is r by 2 only, because in a year there are two time periods. And for 2 years, how many time periods are there? So power 4. Right? This is how we calculate compounded annually or compounded quarterly or half yearly. Okay. Rama invested an amount of 12,000 at the simple interest rate, at the rate of simple 10%, and another amount at the simple interest 20%. 12,000 is for 10% and another amount. We don't know what is the 10. It is for 20%. Total interest on the total end amount become 14%. This is also simple. 12,000, 1 year, 10%. This is the first investment. This is the second investment. Let it be X. X into 1 year into 20 by 100. Total is 12,000 plus X into 1 year into 14 by 100. So solving for this, all hundreds get cancelled. 12,000 into 10 plus 20x equal to 12,000 into 14 plus 14x. 6x equal to 6x equal to 12,000 into 14 minus 10 equal to 4. That means x equal to 8,000. What is the total amount? The 12,000 was the original amount plus x is the second amount. 12,000 plus x equal to 20,000. This is a simple problem. Right? Now, the simple interest in 14 months on a certain sum at the rate of 6% per annum is 250 more than the interest on the same sum at 8% in 8 months. Okay. 6 on a certain at the rate of 6% per annum in 14 months. 14 months means how many years? What is the time period? Time the 6% is per year. So how many years? 14 by 12 years. So time period is P into 14 by 12 into what is the interest rate? 6 by 100. Okay. This should be in years. 14 by 12 years is equal to how much is 250 more than same on the same sum at the rate of 8% in 8 months. How many years? 8 by 12 is the number of years. P into 8 by 12. Time period is 8 by 12 years. Into per year how much? 8%. 8 by 100. This equals this plus 250. Right. If you simplify this, P into 14 into 6 equal to P into 8 into 8 plus 1200 into 250. It is 3 lakhs. That means um, 64, 84, 84p minus 64p. Right. 20p is equal to 3 lakhs. P is equal to 15,000. This is also an easy problem. Right. We just need to be careful here. This has to be, this time period has to be in terms of years. So here time period is 14 by 12 years. Here it is 8 by 12 years. 6% is per year. Okay. So this is an easy problem. Then a sum was put at simple interest rate as a certain rate for 4 years. Had it been put at 2% higher rate, it would have reached 56 more. Okay. So we don't know what is the interest rate. It doesn't matter. Let's see. We don't know what is the principal also. Principal into time period we know 4 years into interest rate, let's assume r by 100 plus 56 is equal to same time period into 4 into r plus 2 by 100, right? It is this one is giving 56 more than this one. That's why this plus 56 equal to this one, r plus 2. Let's simplify this. 4pr plus 5600 equal to 4pr plus 4pr plus 8p, right? 4pr will get cancelled. 8p equal to 5600, p equal to 700. Simple, right? So what was the principal? Principal was 700. 700, if it was 2% higher, it would have given 56 more. A tree increases annually by 1/8 of its height. How much will it increase after 2 years? It stands today 10 feet. What is 1 by 8? 1 by 8 is 0.125. Right. So what does it mean? After the end of first year, it is 10 plus 0.125 of 10, which is 11.25. Right. At the end of second year, what will become? 11.25 plus 0.25 of 11.25, which is 11.25 into 1.125 equal to 12.66. This is the answer. This is one way. The other way is 10% into 1 by 8 every year. Right. 1 by 8 is 0.125. 1 plus 0.125. 0.125 is 12.5%, right? 1 plus 0.125 is 1.125 whole square. 10 into, in 2 years, it is 1.125 square, is 12.6. If it is 4 years, 10 into 1.125 whole power 4, right? 1 by 8 is growing every year. Okay, that means what will be the new height? See, if it is growing 20% every year, what does that mean? Current height plus 20%. 20% is 0.2%, 0.2 of height. That means h into 1 plus 0.2. This means h into 1.2 every year. Right, h into 1 point. Similarly, this is what we have done. 1 by 8 is 0.125. That means h into 1 plus 0.125 every year. Okay, h into 1.125. This is first year. First year it will be h into 1.125. Second year, this one into second year h into 1.125 into 1.12 square. Third year h into 1.125 square, whatever is that at second year, into 1.125. This is cube like this. Okay, every year it is going on its side. That means every year into 1.125. So you can directly do this 10 into 1.125 whole square. This is equal to 12.66. You can do like this or you can do like this. Both will give the same answer. Okay, this is an interesting problem. There are three sums of money, P, Q, and R, so that P is the simple interest on Q, Q is the simple interest on R rate, percent, and time duration are same in each case. Then the relation between P, Q, and R. Simple interest is PTR by 100, that we know. Okay, so in this case, time and R are common. So TR by 100 is common. Let's call it some key, some constant, some C. Okay, what is it saying? P is simple interest on Q. That means Q into TR by 100 equal to P. Right, Q into the constant. Now what is saying? Q is the simple interest on R. Q equal to R into TR by 100. R into what constant? P equal to Q into constant. Q R equal to Q into constant. We have to eliminate this C. Okay. So let's divide this by this. P by Q equal to QC by RC. CC will get cancelled. Q by R. That means P into R equal to Q square. Right. This is also an easy problem. PR equal to Q square. PR equal to Q square. This is the correct answer. Right? We don't need to worry about what is time, what is R, because it is simple interest. Time R, irrespective of what is time, what is rate. TR by 100 is constant, so P is simple interest on Q. That means P equal to Q into C. Similarly, Q is simple interest of R. That means Q equal to R into C. That means P by Q is equal to QC by RC. CC will get cancelled. PR equal to Q square. Right? In how many minimum number of complete years the simple interest on 212.5 at 3% per annum will be exact number of rupees? Okay, we don't know T. We don't know T. What is the simple interest? P into T into R by 100. 212.5 into T into every year 3 by 100 equal to 51.8. 51 by T into 51 by 8 into T. Right. So then for this to become exact number of rupees, it has to be multiplied by at least 8. Right, 51 by 8, it has to be multiplied by at least 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 doesn't work because it will still give in decimals. When t is 8, interest will become 51. Right. Or when t equal to 16, then also it will be fine. What is saying? Minimum number of years. So t has to be minimum 8. Right. What is the ratio of simple interest by certain amount at the same rate for 6 years and for 9 years? What is PTR by 100? P into 6 into R by 100 for the same interest rate, right? Is to P into 9 into R by 100. So 6 is to 9 equal to 2 is to 3. This is a very easy problem. Just by looking at it, you should put it. This was given in previous exams also. Right, 2 is to 3. Just by looking at it, 6 is to 9. We should not even write this. 6 years, 9 years, simple interest means 6 is to 9 equal to 2 is to 3. Okay. Find the compound interest on 12450 per 9 months at 12% per annum compounded quarterly. This is interesting, right? 12% per annum. That means for every quarter. Quarter is 3 months. Means how many? There are 4 quarters in a year. So it becomes 12 by 4. Interest rate will become 12 by 4. Now, 9 months. The compound interest we have to calculate in 9 months. In 9 months, how many quarters are there? How many time periods are there? So, three. So, how many time periods are there is here. In 9 months, there are three 3 month time periods, right? In a year, there are four 3 month time periods. So, interest rate will become per year, per the time period. Okay, per each quarter, the interest rate will become R by 4 per each quarter because 12% is per year. Per each quarter, it will be R by 4. Now, how many such quarters we need? We need such 3 quarters because we need for 9 months only. If it is for the full year, we would have put power 4. If it is for 1 year, 3 months, there is 15 months, we would have put 5. If it is 1 year, 6 months, we would have put 6. Right. But for each quarter, what it would be? It is R by 4. Right. If it is compounded every month, then it would have been R by 12. R by 12 power R1 plus R by 12 whole power 9. We would have put if it was compounded every 1 month. R by 12 here and, and 9 here. Right. But in this case, it is compounded every 3 months. That means interest rate for 3 months is R by 4. So that 1 month it will become R. So R by 4 whole power 3 times quarters. 3 quarters are there in 9 months. Okay, 12 450 into 1 plus R by 4 is 12 by 4 is 3, 3 by 100 whole cube minus P. 12 450 into 1.03, 1 plus 3 by 100 is 1.03 whole power 3 minus, we have taken both of this common. 12 450 and 103 whole power 3 minus 1. This becomes 1 second. 1.03 whole power 3 minus 1 into 12 450. So what is our interest rate? We are for interest rate only, no? Interest rate is equals 1154.45. Okay. Please note, please note this calculation. Please understand this calculation in detail. How many time periods are there? That is this power. And what is the interest rate for each such time period? Okay. How many time periods are there? That is raised to that power. And how many, what is the interest rate for each such time period? Each such time period interest rate is 12 by 4. How many time periods are there? There are 3. Simple. Okay. Okay. This is another interesting problem. Divide it into 3 parts. Divide some number into 3 parts so that the interest amount after 2 years, 3 years, 4 years respectively may be equal. The rate of interest being 5% per annum at simple interest. Okay. What is saying? X plus Y plus Z equal to 2379. Now after 2 years, X into time is 2 into 5 by 100 equal to y into 3 into 5 by 100 equal to z into 4 into 5 by 100. Okay, we'll just simplify this. What exactly this means? 2x equal to 3y equal to 4z. That means x plus y plus z is equal to x plus y is equal to 2 by 3x plus z equal to 2 by 4x, which is equal to half x. Right, x plus y plus z is this. This means simplifying this, um, 13 by 6x equal to 2379, x equal to 10. Simplifying this. 13 by 6x equal to 2379, x is 1098, y equal to 732, z equal to 549. Just simplifying this. So x plus 5 by z will be 2379, and in this case, after 2 years, 3 years, and 4 years respectively, 2 years interest on this is equal to uh, 2 years, 3 years interest on this is equal to 4 years interest on this. Simple. Okay, this is one interesting problem. This is very important. How do we do EMI calculation? What annual payment will discharge debt of 7620 in 3 years in 16? 1 second. in 16 at 16 2 by 3%. 16 2 by 3 is 16 3 square. 48 plus 2, 50 by 3%. Right? 50 by 3, 16.66667 kind of percent. That is the interest rate. Now, what is it saying? What annual payment will discharge debt of 7620? Okay. This is compound interest. So, compound interest, what you have to do, what annual payment? So, that means every year you will pay something. Okay. It works like this. Let's say, let's say your original amount is principal. Okay. At the end of first year, what it will be? P into C. This will be a total amount. Then you are repaying X. PC minus X, this is what that is remaining at the end of first year. Right? Now PC minus X, you will bring it here, beginning of second year. What is the what is the interest on this? What this amount will become what? By the end of second year, PC minus X into C. Right? C is, let's assume C equal to 1 plus R by 100, right? By the end of second year, whatever is the beginning of second year, PC minus X into C, that will become at the end of second year. Now you repay X at the end of second year. That means this minus X. PC square minus CX, XC minus X. This becomes the beginning of third year. Okay, you take this beginning of third year. Then third year interest rate is again this into C. You repay X. So this minus X will become at the end of third year. So this multiplication PC cube minus C into XC. This is C square X minus XC minus X. Okay, or PC square minus X into C plus 1 into C, which is this X into C plus 1 into C minus X. This becomes at the end of third year. Now, in this problem, in 3 years, it will become 0. In 3 years, you should not be left with anything. This equation will be equal to 0. PC cube is minus X into C plus 1 minus X equal to 0. That means PC cube equal to X plus X into C plus 1. That means X into 1 plus C into C plus 1. That means X equal to PC cube by 1 plus C into C plus 1. This is X. So, what is X? X is the amount that we are repaying every year. Okay, this is how we have to calculate. X is the amount. We have to assume some amount. If we give that amount every year, then then after 3 years, it will become 0. What is that amount? Because this is dependent on the interest rate also. Because if we repay X, then on the remaining amount, this C will apply. What is C? C is 1 plus R by 100. Just for simplification, we have written 1 plus R by 100 as C. Okay, some constant. Now, let's in this case, what it is saying, P is 7620 and time is already given and time anyway we don't worry. We don't need to worry. R is given, C is given, R is given 16 2 by 3. That means C is equal to 1 plus 16 2 by 3 by 100. Okay, 16 2 by 3 is 53 by 100. 50 by 3, right? 1 plus 53, 50 by 300 equal to 1 plus 50 by 300, which is equal to 7 by 6. C equal to 7 by 6, which is equal to 1 by 50 by 300. Right. Now let's substitute the C 7 by 6 in this. P into 7 by 6 whole cube plus 1 plus 7 by 6 into 1 plus C, which is 13 by 6. If you simplify this, P into 343, which is 7 cube by 6 cube by 36 plus 7, 13 is 91 by 6 square. Simplifying this, it will become, what is P? P originally it is 7620. We'll just simplify 7620 into 343 by 6 into 127. Alright, simplifying this. We are simplifying this. That means 3430. That is X. What that means? When you are taking 7620 loan, then and you have to repay in 3 years at 16 2 by 3% compound interest, then every year you have to pay 3430. Every year you have to pay 3430 so that you will be able to repay all of this. It is compounded annually. This is called EMI calculation. How do you calculate EMI? We calculate EMI by assuming some X so that every year something will be left on that something whatever is left. So you start with whatever is the total amount. Right. At the end of year you pay something, and whatever is the leftover amount, again interest get accrued by whatever is that amount into your constant. Then again you pay that amount. Then whatever is left, again you put interest on. Again you pay the amount. Then whatever is left, you will pay. You will start with the on the next year. You will start with the amount that was left from the previous year, etc., etc. This is EMI calculation, right? So that's the EMI calculation. Doing with hand is actually slightly difficult. That's why they do it in computer programs. Doing with hand is slightly difficult because you have to do all this calculation. You have to assume some x, and then after after some time period, the interest rate gets accrued again, and then you have to subtract this. You have to do this calculation. This is dependent on whatever is the time period, how many years or how many months, and what is the interest rate, and what is the your principal amount. Okay, this EMI calculation. That's why there are computer programs to do this, right? But you have to calculate. This is the way how to calculate. This is the way to calculate your EMI. Okay, you can take any basic computer program, like even in Excel, you can do this. Cool, guys. Thank you. I think with this, we'll close our simple and compound interest problems. We have covered all sorts of problems that are coming regularly in the exams. With this, you should be able to solve any kind of compound interest or simple interest problems that you might face in exams. Right. Please keep practicing. Then you will be much more confident and you will be much more thorough with all these problems. Any doubts? As usual, please message. Then we'll pick up those things also, those clarifications also. All the best, guys. Thank you. Bye bye.